Hello and welcome to the Help Is Here podcast, brought to you by the Beyond Compulsion Academy. Today we're talking to Nicolas, one of our Beyond Compulsion Academy members. So Nicolas has been in the program about 6 months, just left actually a week ago because he is solid now, he knows what to do. And today we'll be talking about Nicolas's experience in the past, what he was doing in terms of trying to overcome this problem and where he's at with things now, and really how the Beyond Compulsion method in particular can really change the way you think and enable you to actually feel really, really good about dealing with this problem. So welcome on the show podcast. Welcome on the show podcast. Hey podcast, how you doing, mate? No, welcome on the show, Nicolas. I was in between saying welcome on the show and welcome on the podcast. But yeah, welcome on the podcast, Nicolas. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Tom. Thanks for having me. It's really special to get to this point as I started listening to the podcast. That's how I found you guys. So it's like full circle to be on the podcast now. It's cool.
Yeah, man. Full circle moment. You listen to the podcast, you go through the program, you implement on it, you get clear on things, you build up that confidence, that self-belief that you know how to deal with the addictive part of the mind. And then, come on the podcast to share the story, the experience, and how life is now with everyone else. So thank you for coming on. Do appreciate it. Takes some courage, to come on. So yeah, do you want to just tell us a little bit about, the path that you were on before joining Beyond Compulsion Academy? I know you tried a different program out in the past as well, but yeah, what sort of things were you trying and how was the problem impacting your life?
Well, do you want me to give you the long story or short story?
Let's go long. Yeah, we've got time. Let's go long. As long as you like.
Well, I think I found I think most people our age in our generation found pornography when I was a little kid. And at the time, nobody told us what we could look at. There was no filters. We were getting the internet without a filter. And I think that for a long time afterwards, probably for about 12 years, I just grew into a pornography addiction without even knowing that I was in an addiction. Just thinking it's a normal thing. Everyone does it. Everyone, I'm a dude. I gotta, whatever, man. I'm just a dude. That was kind of my mentality around it. And I think the last 3 years, I'm 24 now. When I was 22, I really started to hit me okay, I kind of wanted to feel all right, I want to stop. I kind of know it's not good. I kind of feel like maybe this isn't healthy for me. I want to stop. So that's kind of when the streaks started to come in, tried to really take control of the issue. Obviously I had no tools in my toolbox, but yeah, started going on endless streaks, failing. And I think from the time I was 21 or 22 until before I joined the program, it was a lot of just wrestling with the addictive part of the mind. Really, really quite not a pleasant. I had great memories in between that time, but in general, when I look back, I'm damn, it would have been so much better if I didn't have this monkey on my back, right? I was in and out of 2 different programs, gurus, right? What we see a lot of, just people telling you how to do it. You got to have a morning routine and you got to do this. I'm I can't even I don't even, when I look back, I'm that's such bullshit, how did I think that I could even do half the stuff when I didn't? Anywho, very confusing, went through a lot of confusion, and then, found you guys in September. And, that's kind of, it's been uphill from there.
Yeah, I think let's talk about it though. The morning routines, right? Self-improvement, no fap streaks. What I love about our approach is that we're quite comfortable calling out the bullshit, because once you understand the addictive part of the mind and you've got a script and you really see this problem for what it is, it's quite easy to go, wait, yeah, self-improvement, that's obviously not going to work because it doesn't deal with the moment of compulsive desire. And it's counting a streak, that's got nothing to do with changing neural pathways. It's okay, morning routine. Well, at 3 a.m. if I have an urge, how's my morning routine going to help me then? So like, it's quite obvious to us on the other side to go, yeah, a lot of the information online is bullshit. But when you're in the addiction, we're obviously looking for, solutions. We want to solve this problem. And a lot of the people, on YouTube, creating these courses, they can be quite persuasive and seem like they do have something that actually works. But on the other side of it, we can see it from a different lens. So can you just share like a bit about maybe how your mentality towards this problem has changed since you learned the method, and maybe what the key things around it have been, especially with regards to like streaks, self-improvement, the morning routines, or anything really that comes to your mind?
So I think the way to explain that is, before the program, the way I used to think about addiction was just, if you stop something for X amount of time, then you're bound to get over it. And I think that's where a lot of people go, because it kind of makes sense, like when you don't have the knowledge, right? And that, compiled with all of what the kind of gurus are saying online, right? Of, the reason you watch porn is because you're not fully confident in yourself, or you haven't achieved or fulfilled the things in life that you need to, right? Or you're not at your physical capacity. You haven't reached your physical capacity yet, so you need to get in the gym and you need to have a morning routine. It's like, yeah, sure, all these things are like probably healthy. It's probably good to have some sort of morning routine and go to the gym, but it's not going to make it any easier to not engage, not watch porn if you're addicted, right? So it took me a long time, a lot of trial and error, to realize that. For a long time, because I was in and out of these programs, I kind of just thought like, well, I'm a mistake, basically. Like, I'm just not like, these guys who are in this program seem to be doing their morning routines and I can't do it. And so I'm just less of a man, basically, like, so it kind of, in a way, I kind of wish I didn't join these programs, because it pushed me further into addiction, because I wasn't getting the right help. I knew I wanted help, but I just wasn't getting the right help. And I would, it's something that I kind of learned the hard way, for sure. But when I came across your podcast, actually, wait, let me back up. After I had left that program, I'm not going to name names, but after I had left that program, I was like, I'm never going to do another program again. It's not the answer. Maybe I'll try therapy or counseling or like one-to-one, but I'm never joining a program ever again. And I really stuck to that. And I'm glad I stuck to that, because it made me really vet everything that was like coming in, to not just trust it immediately because somebody said they had the answer. And so I came across your guys' podcast one day. I think I had a prior relapse, and I was kind of in the cycle again of like, feeling helpless, right? So I was trying to find content to listen to that would maybe make me feel better. And I came across your guys' podcast, and the first thing you guys did, I heard, was like you debunking everything that I had learned. And I'm like, oh, finally someone is like calling it out. Like, I'm not crazy. Like, and yeah, that's kind of a bit of insight onto like where my mindset was at the time.
And then I remember you got in touch with me like on WhatsApp, and you were just like, hey, Tom, I think you said something like, you free for a call, or, can I learn a bit more about how the program works or whatever? I don't usually do this, but I think I called you pretty much like right away as soon as I saw it. I don't usually do that. But I remember, I think I had like something cancelled that evening, and I was like, oh yeah, let's just jump on a call. So I gave you a call, we had a bit of a chat. And then I think you went away and had a conversation with Joe as well, like another one of our clients, just to kind of hear about his experience of things as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to Joe.
And I think that's a good approach, is sometimes to actually like, spend a bit of time considering, okay, well, what are these guys actually teaching that's going to be different? Especially if you've done some other programs in the past. There's a lot of bullshit online. And you might have heard our podcast and it felt a bit like, okay, well, maybe there is some hope for me, because maybe there isn't actually something wrong with me. Maybe it is actually the methods that are failing me. And, it was kind of that hope that you needed to inspire you to then go get the right education and learn a different way of doing things. And I think what's quite good for us is to have people like yourself on the podcast who maybe had a bit of skepticism at one point and then joined the program, did the work, got the result, and then can share on here, like, actually, yeah, guys, like, this thing is legit. It's not just another bullshit like hack or gimmick that isn't actually going to like help you. So yeah, do you want to kind of like talk a little bit about what you think does make it so significantly different, you know, in terms of the actual method, like why is it different, and what's been your experience with it in terms of how dramatically different it is to like the things you've tried in the past?
As soon as you said that, the thought that came to my mind is like, you guys do the way that your method is it feels like it really pulls you away from porn. Like the mindset around it, obviously the engagement, but even just the way you think about addiction, the way you think about your current situation. The other programs I had tried, it was very focused on the porn. Like, you guys got to put blockers on everything, and you guys got to, do your morning routine, like practice gratefulness. And there's so much stress and so much like, do everything to get away from the porn. But you guys are like, yo, you can, you could watch porn. You could be in the program and watch porn. But, we're not really focused on it. That's how I felt. I felt like you guys were like, let's focus on your actual brain, and we'll work with you to, uh, create different thinking patterns for you so you can think through this stuff and not just react. And it kind of made me, the difference was like, instead of going from a place of helplessness, place of never feeling good enough and feeling I can't do it, I actually felt for the first time like, oh shit, like if I just think through this moment, then I actually feel like I have a chance to kind of deal with this problem. Even if the next moment I relapse, I know that Tom and Mary are not going to care that I relapse. They're just going to ask me why I didn't use the script and why I didn't think through that moment, So there's just that to sum it all up, I think just that the shame of the addiction, you guys just completely rip away right from the start. And I think that's what sets a lot of people up for success.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. I think from two angles. One, because the way we see things, obviously there's like different parts in the mind, right? So we've got the rational part of the mind, the addictive part of the mind, the child self. And we don't like see people who are watching porn as people who are, you know, like someone who's just like destined to watch porn for the rest of their life, or like, oh, a porn addict. Like, we don't put any labels or judgment on things at all. We just see it very simply as, okay, well, have they followed like a method? Have they followed certain rules? Like, you would kind of analyze any other problem in life. Like, let's say you have like a business problem, a financial problem, anything else is just problem solving. That's all it is. Whereas I think, yeah, as you say, like the focus elsewhere can be too heavily on porn. And I think what can happen is, number one, there can be even more shame around it because it makes the focus around like porn and sexual desires and there being something inherently intrinsically wrong with someone. Whereas we're like, hang on a minute, no, you just have this problem right now, temporarily at this moment. This can be changed, of course. You've just not had the education yet to do that. So yeah, we get rid of that shame without even really talking about shame. It's just more, our approach is so much more about logic, rationale, problem solving, developing a skill, training the mind to think in a different way. So it's so much more about what's going on psychologically. But then, yeah, secondly, I think what's quite interesting that you brought up here is kind of how the other programs could potentially feed into feelings of deprivation by almost putting porn on a pedestal and being like, okay, we've got to do all these things, like remove the triggers, install the blockers, because if we have the urge to watch porn, we're going to get out of control because this porn is like this big scary thing that's got like all this power over you, which really just validates addictive thinking and just actually reinforces the neural pathways of helplessness and compulsivity. So yeah, well, what's your thoughts on that? I don't know if you want to kind of share anything else, but that's kind of what came to my mind.
Well, before like I joined that other program, it made sense to me. I said, oh, okay, like if you're going to stop an alcoholic from drinking, you're going to take all the alcohol out of the house, right? So, all right, I'm like, okay, cool. And again, I don't even necessarily agree with that, but like, because I learned your method, but like, that's where my thought was. I'm like, okay, so they want me to just remove all access I could have. And I'm like, okay, sure. And I tried And guess what? I'm a smart dude. I'm techie, so obviously I figured out how to get around all blockers, and it just it never it was just a band-aid, and it just further made the porn seem like this thing that was on a pedestal. Like that's really all it did. Feeling like I can't have it or can't do it just made it just further activated those neural pathways. And it just got to a point where I was like learning how to code to access past the blocker. And I'm like, bro, if I had just like I'm just like, what psychosis was I in? Like it wasn't even, it's crazy how much it, that deprivation thinking can cause you to do those things that you're just like, what the hell was I doing?
Yeah, man, it is crazy. Like I remember, I've said it loads of times, but just like there's so many things you look back on when you're out of it, and you're like, damn, like no wonder that didn't work. And I think that also really helps with the shame side, because then you really understand that, yeah, there wasn't anything wrong with me all that time. It just is a case of the strategies weren't working for me. Because I remember like putting my phone in the locker at work and like literally going to bed without my phone. So like I wouldn't have my phone for like at least 12 hours because I'd been taught by the people online saying like, if you get triggered, you're going to relapse. But of course, the truth is it's not the desire that's the problem. So let's talk about that a little bit. How's actually dealing with the desire directly impacted your life? How has that led to maybe more confidence for you?
The biggest thing it did is just like, I have this trust for myself that I never had. And I realized I actually lost this kind of trust for myself very early on in my childhood, like when I had found porn, and I didn't even realize. So I have that now, that just for sure, this is not a word, but I'm going to say it, for sureness around myself of like, I'm in control. I'm in the driver's seat. I can choose to do anything I want. There's nothing controlling me. And that is just like a weight off my shoulders, really. I think that's the biggest thing. Other than that, it's just the ability to, because you're in control, you can make decisions, like you can identify which decisions you actually want to make, and you can steer yourself in the right direction. I just feel like, man, like when you guys met me, I was not in this place. I was in my parents' basement. And now in like 6 months, I've moved out and my business is doing really well. I'm also dealing with a lot of like chronic pain from fitness injuries as well. So my body feels the best. And I just don't think I would have ever gone to this place if I was so focused on porn, because for all those reasons, it just takes you out of the driver's seat. It really does. It makes you feel like you're not in the driver's seat, and you can't really control your life that way.
Do you feel like you've got more on the attack in your life? I know we've had some conversations and you've shared how your business has really succeeded and sort of grown quite quickly since you learned the method. Do you feel like you've been able to be a bit more proactive in life because, the neural pathways obviously change in one way with the porn, and that can spill over to these other areas as you start to see that, like you are in control. Like you do have a choice just moment by moment. And obviously, if you make good rational choices, you're going to develop in other areas of life as well.
Oh, definitely. Like, it's hard to put into words, I think, because it's just the way I think about my life and the way that like my life is now so different from when I started. It's very hard to put into words, but it's just ultimate, like, just peace of mind, man. I'm just not worried about it anymore. And that's the biggest thing. There's no worry about it, because I know if I have an urge or if I have any type of junky thought, I just use the script. And it takes 5 minutes, and then that's it. Like,
yeah.
like it's just
that is it though.
very
That is it.
simple.
Like that, there's not really much more to it, and that's the beauty of the method, is like simplicity is key. And I think that goes back to what we kind of started to talk about at the beginning, is like how other methods can overcomplicate things and have our focus in all these different random places, which actually have nothing to do with
Yeah.
the real problem. So I think this would be quite interesting. I mean, we've kind of already talked about it a bit, but like, how has your understanding of the problem shifted? Like, I know it might be quite hard, but if you think back to before you joined the method, what was your understanding of the problem then? Like, what did you think the problem you had was versus how you now see the problem?
I think the way I felt that the problem was too big and too complicated before. Um, and now it feels very simple and very small. I think that's the way. I don't know if like I to be like it was big at the time. I have to say it was a big problem at the time. It's not that it was a small problem at the time. It was big, but it's because I allowed it to be big. I think that's the key. Is I always had the driver's seat. I just didn't know. I was always in the driver's seat. I was just letting someone else drive at the time. And I think that in a philosophical way, that's kind of how I look at it. Is like I midway realized like someone else is driving the car, and I got to stop that. Like,
Yeah. And that
yeah,
and that someone else, that you see that now as like the someone else was the addictive part of the mind, and
yeah,
therefore the problem you had was the lack of education around how to deal with the addictive part of the mind.
yeah. I think when you're in it, it feels like a whole other entity because you have two sides of you. Like you have one side that really wants it, one side that doesn't want it. And one of the things the program taught me was like, yeah, that's both are you. Like you're gonna want it, and you're not gonna want it. But to say that to deny either one is letting the addictive part of the mind have the driver's seat, and so um, it just became I call it acceptance, call it acknowledgement, but it was like, oh, I don't have to let this the addictive part of my mind drive in my
Mm.
life. Like I can control this, and it's all up to me at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like there's going to be a part that wants to engage, and there's also a part that wants to stop. And until you're able to acknowledge that you want to engage, it's going to be very, very hard to actually overcome this problem, because in those moments of compulsive desire, there can be so much resistance. And that's why there can be so much confusion and a lot of shame, because it's like, well, I really want to stop this behavior. I keep trying to stop it. I've joined 2 paid programs. It's cost a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy. And yet, no matter how hard I try, I keep going back to this thing. And then, as you said earlier, then the mind's like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, am I a mistake? Like, how come these other guys in the program are doing okay temporarily and I'm not? And that's where the addictive part of the mind can get very loud. And the addictive part of the mind can then get you questioning yourself, questioning your own desires, wondering like, why am I still having these desires? Whereas once you're in the driver's seat and you understand the addictive part of the mind, it's just like, oh yeah, moment by moment, there might be a time I have the desire, but that's cool. I know how to deal with that because the rational mind's the one in charge overall.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think this will make sense to people. I hope so anyway. Let's see. But I think the idea of it becoming more simple is so key. How when you're in the addiction, it can seem like this massive problem. It can take up so much mental space. Whereas once you've got a solution to it, the problem does seem a lot smaller, and there's so much more mental capacity to focus on other areas of life. How have
100.
you found your relationship be impacted by solving this problem?
Man, huge. Like, um, again, I think it's very this problem is very normalized in society, and so I think um, a lot of maybe relationships don't question it enough and how it impacts them. Um, I didn't say this in the podcast yet, but like I've had a girlfriend for about 4 years, and she's great, and we're very in love, but and we started very in love as well. I just think it was always a monkey on my back, and I think she could see that. And you know, the best way I think to explain it is it will intertwine its way around your relationship in weird ways that you may not notice, but that over a long period of time, you'll start to see the effects of that. And biggest thing is I think it just ruins intimacy after a certain point, you know.
Mm,
Tom, you have a girlfriend, right? Like when
mm.
you guys met, everything's super exciting, right? And it's like honeymoon phase. But yeah, as you start to be with somebody for a while, the initial chemicals in the brain start to get used to the person. It starts to feel more normal. You're out of the honeymoon phase, and that's actually the most important time to keep the intimacy and keep improving your relationship. Well, I just think pornography makes that super hard to do. Maybe some people
Yeah.
figured that out, but I didn't, and it's definitely better without it.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think the other thing is like how the porn can kind of screw up our perspective on romance and lead to us maybe
Yeah.
objectifying women, maybe over analyzing and overthinking appearances, maybe becoming even more like superficial, like being more focused on just how are they looking and things like
Yeah.
that. And then the addictive part of the mind can really try and use all of that shit to try and get you back at porn as well.
Yeah, an interesting thing that I noticed, and I used to call this relationship OCD, and maybe people listening to this can relate to this, but this only happened when I was on a long streak or trying to be on a long streak, and it's basically you can look at the word up on Google. Basically, what the word means is you have a constant fear if you're with the right partner.
Mm,
Um, are they attractive enough for me? Are they good enough for me? Are we good together? Like, do we get along? Are we fighting too much? There's a lot of questions, and I know you know where I'm going with this, Tom.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to speak on whether it's an actual real thing. I'm sure that it is, and in my case, I can say that after I had actually started to deal with the addictive part of the mind, all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, I don't have any of those fears anymore. And now I'm like, oh yeah, that was for sure just me being in an addiction and the addictive part
Mm.
of the mind trying to cause turmoil and fear and stress to keep me in helplessness, basically. And that was for me probably one of the biggest impacts is not having those worries anymore and just knowing like, yeah, like feeling super certain about the relationship and about myself and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think that's such a good example of how the addictive part of the mind will try to use unanswerable questions to spin someone into helplessness and how it's so just part of the addiction. And like, I've had all those questions in my relationship as well. And it's like, you can kind of talk about it here from this awareness of oh, yeah, like that isn't me having this, disorder that I'm stuck with for life. In fact, what it is it's just neural pathways that are wired in a certain way for a certain purpose from the addictive part of the mind. And actually that can be treated and dealt with and changed. And as, like myself, I'm sure you've used your script to actually just get back in the present moment, make choices moment by moment, and kind of see through all of the bullshit of the addictive part of the mind,
Yeah.
and now get really clear on it. And now it's like, and I think that's the other big shift is just kind of shifting from the helpless stance of like, I don't know. And like always self doubt and like questioning yourself into like, actually,
Yeah.
okay, well, I do know. And I'm good. I just know how to kind of deal with this part of my mind now. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It really, I think it's like underestimated how like just that stance alone affects all areas of your life. Just knowing and trusting yourself. I guess, and I'm not going to speak for my girlfriend, but I think she's found me more attractive as well, right? Knowing
Yeah.
that I'm, like choosing what's best for me every day, and in doing that, she knows that I'm also choosing her as well, right?
Mm.
There's a level of that. Um, I think that plays too.
Yeah, no, I love that. Cool. Well, yeah, I think we'll wrap up in a minute, but I'm really grateful for your time, Nicholas. Appreciate you coming on here and just talking a little bit about your experience with the method. I think hopefully, what this can get across to guys is like, I think what I'd love for it to get across is just like, there's so many just normal, standard sort of people who are getting stuck with porn addiction. It's fucking up their life. And then there is a way to like overcome it and actually feel really good about that and feel like way more assertive, way more sure of yourself, like more confident, and then actually really succeed in life as well. Like that becomes kind of the outcome from dealing with this problem, as you actually become a lot more successful as well as you're doing now. Like you're just thriving in your life, right? Which is just awesome. So hopefully it's going to inspire one or two guys and show them how there's so many benefits to actually stopping porn in the correct, rational way. But yeah, any final words from yourself before we sort of wrap up for good today?
I'm trying to think, like, if I was listening to this back in September, like, what would I say to myself? I'm just like, um, I want to gas you guys up, you, Tom and Mary. You guys are incredible. And, um, like, it's amazing. I think the world needs you two, especially. I think the world needs BCA. I think in terms of society, it's kind of really scary to see how much everything is over sexualized and how normalized, pornography is. And I think, a lot of people are dealing with this issue, men and women. And so if you're somebody, I think, who's on the fence, just give Tom a call or something. Like what I did. I don't know how much time Tom has now, but reach out and just get the information you need, and then make your decision. But don't definitely make it yeah, words. Consider this, because I remember being a skeptic at one point, and I'm so glad that I made the decision to join. Really
No,
glad.
I appreciate that so much, Nicholas, man. And
Yeah.
yeah, the world needs more people like yourself as well, who, have the courage to come on here and share and kind of talk about how this is possible. And I'm sure it's been a little bit scary, but at the same time, you seemed very, very confident, which I absolutely love as well, because like that is the goal, is to get people to a position where you can feel confident and okay talking about this problem and feel comfortable, because yeah, as you say, that's what society needs, is more role models, I believe, in this space, who can say, yeah, you know what, you used to have this problem with porn, I'm good now. Yeah, and then just kind of cracking on with their life, really. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. So hopefully you're going to inspire a lot of guys. I will leave a link below, actually, if you do want to book in a call with me for free. Hopefully I don't get too many calls, because I don't want to have like, well, actually there'll be enough space for a few, but yeah, I mean, well, I'll leave like a few hours free in a week or something. Let's see. So I'll leave that below if you want to book in a call and have a little chat. We can do that. Cheers, Nicholas. I really appreciate your time once again. And yeah, thanks for listening. See you later. Bye.
Thanks.